What's up, YouTube fam? Welcome back to the channel. We got a special episode for you guys because I decided to add $10,000 to the account. So obviously it was originally $20,000 option selling challenge. Now it is a $30,000 option selling challenge because it's just at the point where the $20,000 is just not stretching far enough. Option selling is a big money game, and trying to do it with 10, 20,000, even 30,000 is not enough. And I know 30,000 won't feel like enough for long. I want to grow in increments, until I can get to 80 to 100,000 and then stop depositing. So, for me, I feel like the simplest way is to just add in increments of 10,000 whenever I can. And I do believe I'll be able to do it for at least a few months in a row, and then probably, like I said, stop and just be able to make larger returns every single month. So with that being said, welcome to the $30,000 option selling challenge. Now let's get into what we have, what positions we have going on. So first, of course, first and foremost is this CONL position. We almost always, right? Almost always decide to go cash secured puts and then run the wheel strategy. Of course, right? The one time we say, you know what, let's buy shares. There's been a lot of earnings reports that have been sending stocks to the moon, right? And let's just pull up a few of them, a few of these charts. So let's see, Robinhood, boom, to the moon. Netflix has been to the moon. Obviously, we couldn't even afford that, but it's been absolutely to the moon. DoorDash, to the moon. DraftKings. And these are all stocks that we've either talked about or wanted to get involved in. So we said, you know what, one time, let's just buy covered calls. Let's just buy shares so we can have a bigger gain, because I truly believe Coinbase would go to the moon. Now, of course, Coinbase ends up having a great earnings report and falling pretty, hard. It's not terrible, but it just wasn't ideal price action. Wasn't what I expected. And of course, I went with CONL because my account couldn't afford Coinbase. Now with the extra 10,000 we could, but I don't want to put 26,000 into Coinbase at this moment. So I'd probably still go with CONL, even though my biggest beef with CONL is that it doesn't have weekly options, which is why I just don't love it. And for some reason, I always get trapped in it. But with that being said, I truly do believe now is not the time to close this CONL position. We're approaching what could be a Fibonacci zone. Of course, it could easily go right through this, but I do believe now, it just feels like it's going to pop back up, and then I'll be able to get out. It never goes straight, this type of stock, especially these 2x leverage. They're very hard to trade, but if I sell now, I just truly believe I would regret it as opposed to waiting even a couple of days, right? So we have collected 200 in profit in premium on the covered calls. It's not going to show all of it here, but it shows some of it. So we have collected 200 back, and now, we just need to see it come back up a little bit, maybe get back into the 40s, and then make a decision from there if we want to stay in it or get out for a better, just a smaller loss or, a win. Now it's funny because we have 3,900 available. So you can imagine it's very tempting for me to put another 100 on, but I'm going to push that to the side because you know what? I've watched so many stocks I just showed you guys explode to the upside. And we have some big earnings plays coming up next week. NVIDIA is, of course, going to be the number one play that I'll be eyeing. So I just don't feel like there's a need to throw this money into something like CONL when I'm already oversized in it as we are, talking about this. Next position that we still have open is this TQQQ leap. It's so funny, right? Because people have talked so much about having a leap open for TQQQ. And it really has just, the first one I closed for 100 profit. This one is up 350. Obviously, the spreads are pretty rough since it's 2 years out, 39 to 43. So if you want to get out, you'd have to set a limit order. But, ultimately, I'm pretty happy with this position. Obviously, we also have this covered call against it, and that's down 206. But as long as it's going up, the leap is going to keep gaining value and getting safer, in my opinion, right? So I don't mind if it keeps going up because I can keep rolling this higher. And I'm perfectly fine with that because the leap, again, if I could look back a year from now and TQQQ is at 110, right, where my break even is 102, it's like at that point I'm just selling covered calls on the leap for fun for as long as possible, right? It's like if you can get a leap to get way past your break even with still a year, 2 years left, like it can get really interesting how much premium we can collect on this winning position. So we'll see. It's obviously a risk. People are always going to talk about it. But right now, this leap on TQQQ, I'm very happy with. And obviously, as it's building up credit, yes, we are technically down money because we've had to roll this, right? And obviously, it's down 206. But if we build up more and more credit and it keeps going up and up and up, and eventually what happens is the leap, like I said, gains so much value. And then we have a pullback where this will lose all its value. That's how we'll end up winning on all of the scenarios, which would be the dream scenario. So we're going to keep this leap open. Obviously, TQQQ, we want to always have a cash secured put open on it. And truthfully, I want always the majority of the account to be involved in cash secured puts. But obviously, we've had our mind wrapped up in some other things, CONL being one, and now we are in XYZ. Now, why XYZ? First of all, it's a company that has been on my radar for a long time. During an earnings report, we do have good premiums, but it's a company that, in my opinion, has done a lot of good things. The revenue looks good. Obviously, Cash App is a very popular app that's used. I know Square is getting more and more popular for online payments and business payments. So XYZ is not a stock I'm afraid of holding. It's not a stock I'm afraid of with earnings. Obviously, if it does fall, I'd be looking for ways to manage or roll. So we'll see what happens. But it's not a stock I'm afraid of. And just looking at this chart, we talked about it in our Discord. Let's just see where we were talking about the XYZ chart. I'll show you guys just a couple more things that we like about it. Yep. So here you go. Euphoria, panic is over. And, it is going through this cycle, which I have seen many times. Shout out to Discord member DG67, always providing tons of value. But yeah, overall, this just isn't a play that I'm scared of, right? That's what it comes down to. You're not going to win every play, right? But you have to take plays that you can just feel good about. That's really all you can ask for. Have real reasoning to take the play. In this case, it's a stock we trust. The premiums are higher. Earnings report is coming out. That's really all the reasons I need to be putting some capital at risk. But with all that being said, I still want to be getting majority of the account into TQQQ cash secured puts. And the more money I deposit, the more I will look to add to those positions and make everything else side positions, whether it's CONL shares, XYZ, any individual stock, really, right? Like I'll always go to bat for this 3x ETF leverage funds, right? TQQQ or TNA or SPXL. Like these are ones that I'll say, they seem like great investments and great places to sell options. It really just seems like the best of all worlds, high premiums and a lot more safety on the downside than individual stocks, especially these 2x leveraged ETFs. Like obviously something like NVDL with NVIDIA earnings coming up is going to be extremely tempting, right? And extremely it's very tempting, right? I'm not going to sit here and say it's not. When you look at how good these premiums are, it's insane. And you can go low. That's the other reason why selling puts during earnings is so great, is that you can actually go lower for your entry while collecting high premium. I mean, look, we can go all the way to a 0.16 delta and still be making, let's see, $800, $924 in the next week, off a 0.16 delta. I mean, obviously, typically we go 0.3. So you go 0.3, it's like we're making, let's see, 1,500, 1,700. Now obviously, again, I'm not going to be throwing my whole 30K account into this at the moment. When we first started this account, that's what we were doing, is we were throwing the full amounts. But just naturally, right, you have to get smarter, especially as your account grows. Your account grows. It's almost like when your account is small, you're able to YOLO because that's like your only way to get out of it. And as you grow the account, you need to be risking less, because as the account gets bigger, you can make a smaller amount to pay your bills while risking less, right? That's where everyone wants to get as a trader. You want to get to the point where you have such a large account that a 1% move is going to pay your rent for the month. A 1% move is going to pay 10 grand. It's like that's when you start actually becoming so wealthy, because it's very easy to get those small wins while not risking a large amount. But that small win to you is a large amount in the real world, right? If you made 10K in a day while barely risking your account, that's going to do a lot for you outside of the market. So the market is its own universe, right? And if you're always in that mindset of risking your full account, you're never going to tap into the mindset of being wealthy. So the real wealth is having a larger account, much larger than 30,000, and risking small amounts of it in, good positions, right? Whether it's, selling puts, selling covered calls, obviously just buying. But in my opinion, there is nothing better than selling cash secured puts, especially during earnings. Now, obviously, if it does send it up, then it's also frustrating, because if you would have just owned the shares, then you would have made more. But, just look what's happening to me right now, right? Like, obviously, this might work out. It might not. But if I would have sold cash secured puts, I probably could have had a $36, $37 strike and still been collecting. So in this case, instead of me being down all this, it would be at my strike. I'd be chilling, right? Instead of my entry being 45, I'd be, this Friday expiration with a $38 strike. It'd be a very different story in terms of how I would feel towards the position. Now, obviously, if it bounces the next couple days and I make all my money back, great. But that doesn't change the fact that this is just not, as ideal. Obviously, I showed you guys names earlier that went up all week, and that's what made me want to do it, right? I wanted to finally be a part of one of these rides, because as much as selling cash secured puts is great, you do miss out on these big moves. So I just wanted to see how it felt, and it felt like I got humbled, right? I got sent back to where I came from. Something was working, we were winning trade after trade, and I did something like this, which, maybe it was a bad trade. Maybe I should have stuck to the cash secured puts. Maybe I should have just only done 100 shares instead of 200, right? I don't want you guys to think, oh, I'm obsessing over the position. I want you guys to just be able to learn from it, right? Hopefully I can learn from it, right? Because this is just me documenting my own trades and trying to recap it and learn. So that's that, right? That's where the position stands. It's exciting. It's the $30,000 challenge instead of the $20,000. And who knows, right? Maybe we get it to 35 this month, and then we add 10, and now it's the 40,000. But it's also 45 because, we have the extra 5 profit. So again, I plan on only depositing in increments of 10, so it's extremely easy to keep track of how much we're up, how much we're down. Of course, assuming we do start withdrawing, that'll be accounted for as well. But yep, that is that. It's something I've wanted to do for a while. I've wanted to add, and I want to keep adding and growing and making a full-time living, showing you all that it's possible with selling options and doing it firsthand, right? Not just teaching it, but showing you guys the account every single day, being accountable, showing up. And, the people that are here with me that show the consistency are going to grow with me, whether it's their accounts, their mindset, their knowledge. And I can't wait for it all to happen. So if you learned from this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.